Hey guys, this is EJ Holland with the Wolverine, and we are starting up a new segment called Recruit of the Week. As you guys can guess, I'm picking a recruit every week to talk about. I'm going to hit on where Michigan stands in that recruitment, what I like about the player, and all that good stuff. This week's Recruit of the Week is Top 100 2024 offensive lineman Camron Warren. As many of you guys know, I recently made the move from Chicago, Illinois to Norfolk, Virginia. So one of the biggest reasons I am highlighting Warren is because he's one of the big-time prospects in my new backyard, and he's a guy with a lot of ties to Michigan. So Warren plays at Chesapeake Western Branch, but he actually started his high school career at Baltimore St. Francis Academy, which is one of the premier high school programs in the country, as Michigan fans should know. St. Francis consistently churns out high-level D1 talent. Michigan's roster's home to Derek Moore, Blake Corum, Nikhil Green, former St. Francis coach Biff Poggi is on staff, and that's continued to help Michigan land big-time guys out of St. Francis. I mentioned Derek Moore. He was one of the late steals of last cycle's dramatic close, and Moore happens to be good friends with Warren. So let's talk a little bit about Warren, and then we'll kind of get into the St. Francis ties. As far as Warren as a player, he is a tremendous talent along the offensive line, rated as a top 10 offensive tackle in the country for next cycle. However, this is an extremely versatile prospect that can also play along the defensive line. In fact, I caught up with Warren at the official recruits media day in Virginia Beach over the weekend, and he told me that he's talked about playing defense with coaches at the next level, including Michigan. He actually began his high school career along the defensive line. He was moved to tight end at St. Francis and then to offensive tackle. Now that he's back at Western Branch, where there isn't as much depth as there is at St. Francis, which is, again, crazy loaded with D1 talent, I think you're going to see Warren play on both sides of the ball. So it's really going to be interesting to see how he develops this season now that he's back at home, and he'll get to showcase his talent in the trenches along the offensive line and along the defensive line. I personally like him as an offensive tackle, but I could definitely see him adding more weight and becoming a dominant 3 technique. Either way, he's a big, strong kid, really good length, really good athleticism, and a great frame. He can still add a lot of good weight and muscle mass to his frame. So again, I really think he can develop into a good fit for Michigan's scheme as a 3 tech, and if not, he can obviously stick as a tackle and maybe even slide inside. As far as where Michigan stands in this recruitment, as I mentioned, some ties through St. Francis. So Biff helped a lot with the offensive line during his time at St. Francis, which means he got pretty close to Warren. He told me that they have a great relationship. But on top of that, Derek Moore is a good friend of Warren's, and they keep in contact all the time. They used to go up against each other in practice. Warren told me that he was just texting Moore about Michigan's scrimmage the other day. Obviously, having guys like Nikhil Green and Blake Corum will definitely help as well. So even though Warren is no longer at St. Francis, that St. Francis pipeline, that St. Francis vibe, that culture is still, the brotherhood, is a better term, is still there. Warren is still really good friends with those guys. He's still close to Biff. So I think that gives Michigan an in this recruitment. Now, Warren is highly interested in the SEC schools. He told me he's going to take visits to Alabama and Georgia and LSU. But Michigan is a school that's been able to compete for kids out here on the East Coast, especially St. Francis kid. And again, Warren no longer at St. Francis, but still having that St. Francis brotherhood will give Michigan a good chance here. Warren told me he does not have a date set, but he is looking to visit Michigan this fall, so that's definitely something to keep an eye on. I am planning to go watch Warren in-game action in October in a huge game against Oscar Smith, which is arguably the best high school program here in the 757. So that should be a great matchup for me to see him play against quality competition. Michigan hasn't had much success recruiting out of Norfolk, Virginia Beach, but with Warren having those ties to the St. Francis guys, I think he's definitely one to watch here in the great state of Virginia. As always, guys, sign up for the Wolverine $1 1 year, and you can follow me on social media at EJ Holland on 3.